Chat with Debbie with now president of iVoter Guide. A lot of people are all obsessed about Trump lying about the errors in the 2020 census. We're going to ask Debbie if that might actually be true. Hi, Debbie.
Good morning, Fawn.
How are you?
I'm doing well, getting ready to get on a plane, but glad to spend some time with you.
Holy moly. Well, let's roll. Okay, so what were there errors in the 2020 census?
Well, surprisingly, the census actually admitted that there were errors in the 2020 census.
Then what are they crying about?
Well, they don't want him to do it again, but they came out in 2022, and I guess they do some kind of a poll after the census where they kind of look for statistical differences. 2010, it was spot on. 2022, they admitted that were 8 states, mostly blue states, where they overcounted, and 6 mostly red states where they undercounted. And people have looked at the numbers, and it would have been a net flip of 6 seats that would have gone one way or the other. So Trump is right. The census it had errors. They admitted it.
That is crazy. So there's not much we can do about it now, is there?
Well, sadly, no. They don't redo it till the next, 10 years, next decennial, I forget how they say it, census. What Trump came out is he wants to start another one now and not count illegal immigrants, because they do count everybody who lives here, whether they're legal or not. They don't even ask if they're a citizen. They took that off of the census. In 1950. There's actually legislation, though, that's in the Senate where they want to put the citizenship question back onto the census and not count illegal aliens.
Well, because they say we want to know exactly how many people are here. You know what? If you're here illegally, you're not really here.
Well, you certainly should. You don't. To me, you don't need representation because you can't vote. The representatives are supposed to represent voters. So, in my mind, I'd like to know people who are legally here, who can vote, who are citizens. That's really what the founders intended with this representation. Was people who are engaged in this culture, this lifestyle of America, and illegal aliens. They don't have all the rights of American citizens.
Yeah, they don't, and I know they're here. But they should not get representation, and that's why we do the census.
That is, and so it was wrong. So I don't see a census changing the number of seats. That it's the census that apportions seats to the states. So even though there was an error in 2022 and they admitted it, they didn't say we're changing the seats. It's like we're going to try to rectify this for the next census in 2030. But there are states taking actions today. You probably heard about Texas in the news, and that can have an impact on the number of potential Republican seats in the 2024 election and beyond that.
Okay, so this is, they're talking about the gerrymandering. That's all you can hear on the news right now. Even though the Democrats sort of created that move, now they're protesting it.
They're pretty good at it.
They're nuts. They're nuts. They create something and then it's kind of like they're aborting their own gerrymandering idea. See what I did there?
There are 8 states where, there's anywhere from 30 to 45% of the people in that state who voted for President Trump, but there is not a single Republican representative in those states.
Yeah.
And the Texas representatives fled to Illinois, and that's hugely gerrymandered. California only has, 17% of the congressional seats are held by Republicans, but almost 40% of people voted for President Trump. So they're complaining, but they've done worse than Texas and Florida. Even Missouri's talking about potentially redrawing their lines for the next election. So that's what'll change it.
Well, and you know what? Gavin Newsom just wants to be in the news. What's going on in Texas and Illinois has nothing to do with him, but him and Mamdani Buhani. They just want to be part of Trump bashing. That's all they care about. They don't care about anything else. Neither one of them are relevant on the national scheme of things until they are, because right now they're not. So, it overwhelms me that these guys think we give 2 flying farts in the wind what they have to say, and yet the national news gives them a platform. I don't understand it.
Well, the national news has their own agenda, and what Mamdani and what Newsom say is more closely aligned with what their agenda is than what you and I believe. So that's they're just trying to get their 15 minutes of fame or extend that. We think, Newsom's probably positioning himself for presidential run. So they just want to be in the news. They want to, get more people onto their side, get more money coming into their coffers. That's what they're doing.
Guys like that make me want to puke. Anyway, they're like, Trump wants this. I'm like, Trump took a pay cut to be president. He was just a guy who wanted to fix the country. And the people who cannot see that, who think he's just there to try to steal power, that's silliness. That's just silliness. He just wants to fix America. So
they don't have eyes to see, as we would say.
Or ears to hear, or, mouths that say anything correct. So the new census is coming up when? Do we know?
The next, so it's actually Congress that can order a new census. I don't think there's really going to be a new census. I think that Trump, he's been known to bluster and kind of say things that are his negotiating tactics. I think what he's doing is laying the groundwork that in the next census, which they'll start planning it soon, even if it doesn't happen until 2030, they could do one in 2025. There is, if Congress approves the funds, it could happen. But even that census will not change apportionment. It might change the funding allotment that the federal government gives to the states. So I think he's just positioning to move away from a census that counts everybody who lives here to have a census that just counts citizens.
Okay. So if we just count citizens, the census is going to be very, very different.
There will be, they say, one of the studies had California has 2.6 million illegal immigrants, so their official population would drop by 2.6 million. Texas has about 2 million. Florida has about 600,000, and other states down from there. So it will change the apportionment of seats that even Texas gets if they don't count citizens.
And then
it'll change the makeup hugely.
Yeah, and then they only get so many people they can choose, and they choose Jasmine Crockett.
Well, or Ilhan Imam. You'd have to look at the population in that district, and that's part of how we've ended up with the squad on certain people that are there inner city. Yeah.
Okay. So when it comes right down to it, we need to know exactly how many people are in the country legally. We need to know what they're doing, where they're from, how they got here, if they're naturalized, all that sort of thing. We need to know exactly how many children they have, and we need to know the actual population of Americans, not just people who happen to be here at the time of the census.
You said it. You're right. I agree.
Sorry, I got a giant gecko in my throat just as I was trying to talk to you. All right, so with that being said, with the next census, do you think we are just going to go with naturalized citizens or citizens who are supposed to be here?
Well, I will tell you, it's got to pass Congress. So this next election cycle will be key. I don't know if they'll get anything through before the next election cycle, and you know how thin the margins are right now. So I hope it happens. I'm not positive it happens, but to me it points to the importance of getting out there and voting for people who share our values, even if they don't redraw the districts, even if there's just a little shift. Basically, the shift in these redrawing of lines will create more swing seats that could go either way. So it creates an opportunity, but it creates an opportunity for both sides. It gives an advantage to the Republicans if they redraw those 5 districts in Texas. But, it makes it more achievable across the board. So we all have eternal vigilance. We've got to pay attention and let your representative know that you want only citizens counted, because if that legislation comes up, tell them you want them to work on it.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? This is not a new thing, too. Please reiterate that this redrawing of the lines happens all of the time. Illinois should talk. I mean, they ran to Illinois. Illinois is the gerrymandering of the Jerrys. I mean, they have gerrymandered their state to the point where Republicans couldn't win if they were in a pure red county.
Yeah, well, it's how the game is played. It was written into the Constitution to redraw the lines for representation. Whatever party's in power does the same thing. Some play fairer than others, but it is how the game is played. It is nothing outside of the way this country is supposed to run. This is the process, but just make your voice heard.
Yep, and that's what we need to do. Have our voices heard, because I want Americans on the census and nobody else. iVoter Guide. Where do people go to learn more, Debbie?
Go to iVoterGuide.com. When there's elections in your area, enter your address, and you will just see the races and candidates on your ballot. Our goal is an educated electorate with the power, because we the people have the power. So iVoterGuide.com. Sign up for our email list. We'll let you know when there's a special election in your area. We're covering school boards in your area, but we're your go-to one-stop shop for election information.
Yes, and really, seriously, go there. I think you'd be shocked at how much information you can find. She's the president at iVoterGuide.com. Debbie Wood now, thank you for talking to me, and happy plane rides to you.
Thanks, Fawn. You take care.
You too. Bye-bye.